Hey guys, one last thing I think I didn't touch upon enough, and this is something I kind of do, which is why I make these videos. I think it helps me, it's practice for kind of just laying out to myself how I think. And a lot of times I skip over things because I just assume people understand what I mean. And when I see people are manipulated, I'm not saying, oh, they're using brainwash waves, they're using the 5G. I'm not saying that, and I apologize for even using a voice that mocks rednecks or anything like that. When you manipulate people, all you really need to do is just present an idea to them and present them. Think of how a vaccine works, and there's a really, really great YouTube channel. He hasn't been active in like almost 10 years now. I don't even know if he's alive anymore. Tim Tyler. He looks kind of like Alan Moore, except not fat and pedophile. But he's like super autistic, super smart, very smart guy. He's very into memetics. He's got a couple books. He has a lot of videos of him eating durians. He goes a lot into various memetic concepts like memetic inoculation. And memetic inoculation is something very, very important to keep in mind when you try to talk about how people are manipulated and controlled. A vaccine works. You present a weakened version of a harmful bacteria into the body, and it is able to deal with that specific weakened version, and thus it is able to just kind of shrug off the full whammy of that particular type of bacteria. And a good example of memetic inoculation that maybe Tim Tyler wouldn't do, because he's not like a conspiracy guy. He's not into politics at all, from what I've seen of his videos. And again, I don't think he's uploaded a single video in almost 10 years. He's specifically on the science side of memetics. And I'm not saying it in the meme word of like, 4chan, now we're going to use the memes, we're going to make the Hillary memes to make fun, we're going to change the world. No, you're not going to change shit, probably, because human beings are cattle. And it's not good or bad that they're cattle, they just are cattle. And to say that is to accept the truth. But a good example is 9/11. Now, if you do just the slightest bit of research, you could be totally scientific about it. You can be totally skeptical, and for good reason. There's a lot of bad information out there. If you do the slightest bit of research, you'll find, oh yeah, there's some weird shit going on with 9/11, huh? And it feels like somebody knew it was coming ahead of time, and they either they were part of orchestrating it to some extent, or maybe they were, maybe they just kind of let it happen because it's useful. If you say that, what people have been inoculated with is the crazy shit, the shit like, the planes were a fucking hologram. It was a missile done hit the. And I'm using the redneck voice again. I shouldn't use this because it isn't even like rednecks that believe all this shit. There's like normal people that believe. Not that rednecks aren't normal people. I'm trying to be less racist against rednecks because I find that they're very nice people sometimes. Let me think. And they're also just such an easy target. It's such a low hanging fruit to make fun of rednecks. Like, if you make fun of rednecks in 2020, you probably need to get some better material, dude. Like, but I mean, anyways, people have been inoculated with these wacky, obviously stupid, not even necessary for 9/11 to have been an inside job in any capacity. These things like, they planted thermite, and I'm not an explosives technician. I couldn't tell you whether that's thermite or not. I don't fucking know. But they don't need to have done that in order for that to be a manipulated event to some extent. Even if everything happened exactly as is stated, and Muhammad Atta and a couple other guys, they just decided to go crash some planes into buildings and nothing else happened, and nobody was telling them or guiding them or, paying for them to take flight lessons or anything like that. And maybe the dancing Israelis were just art students. I don't know. If everything went according to the narrative, they could have just seen, oh shit, these guys are going to crash a plane into the building. That's pretty convenient. Let's use that. Let's let it happen, man. Run some exercises while they're doing it, so it's harder for law enforcement to respond and shit. You all of a sudden, if you say, just the basic truth, which is that, yeah, somebody probably, at least let it happen. All of a sudden you are lumped in these people's heads, and people don't need internal logical consistency. This idea, and this is why I hate the skeptic people on YouTube, and that term isn't even useful anymore. That's like a 4-year-old outdated term. But those people, they think it's such an own to point out that somebody doesn't have internal logical consistency. They don't even have internal logical consistency. I don't even have internal logical consistency. Nobody does. Maybe you have greater or lesser degrees of it, but we all lack internal, perfect logical consistency. And I mean, imagine from an evolutionary standpoint, if you spent all your time trying to have perfect internal logical consistency, you would be eaten by a fucking tiger inside of 15 minutes. Okay, you'd be sitting there scratching your head and you'd starve to death. We are not evolved for that. We don't need it. It wasn't important. All we need is to just accept a few basic axioms that are useful to us and help us make sense of the world, so we stop thinking and we go plant the seeds, or we go kill a mammoth, or whatever the fuck human beings needed to do. People are totally capable of believing two completely mutually exclusive things at the same time, and they as long as it's reinforced through social pressures or just by lack of other information, or even threats, or anything like that, people will completely be willing to throw away people will be completely willing to use their cognitive dissonance to just believe bullshit. And that's how you are manipulated. Everybody is manipulated. Think of your ideas. Where did you get your ideas from? People, ask anybody, why do you believe politically the things you believe? And usually their answer is probably going to be something like, they're not going to have a well thought out reasoning behind why they think, or where their ideas first, developed in their head. They're going to be like, because I'm not a piece of shit. And that's on both sides of the aisle. I'm not making fun of libtards. I'm not making fun of rightoids. I'm saying people's answer is some version of, I think the way I do because I'm not a piece of shit. That's why you think the way you do. And that's normal, unfortunately. That's a natural thing. It's a thing that happens. It's the way people work. Because it's a lot easier to just defer to social pressures and reinforce social pressures than it is to just analyze your own thoughts. Like the mask thing. I think when I closed off the video, I said the masks thing is very religious now. I had a Facebook for like half a minute past couple months. And I deleted it because everybody, people who were never even political, like just a couple years ago, they are now posting weird memes about masks and just very, and I'm not like one of those people that's like, oh, I won't fucking wear a mask anywhere. I'll wear a mask in the grocery store. That's fine if they want me to. I'm not going to wear it if I'm told to by the police. I'll get a misdemeanor for that, but I also have very little respect for police officers in general, or clock punchers, as I call. I kind of have a little subgrouping in my head of people that I call clock punchers, and police are definitely clock punchers. Generally, people like people on Facebook, they're just posting all these fucking it's religious. If you even question whether a mask is going to work now, and they've already ruined Karen. the meme of Karen. That word has lost all meaning now. Like, a Karen was just like a specific type of like 40 to 50-year-old white woman who has a specific haircut and a specific attitude. And now it's like, if you disagree with the cultural norm that appeared like basically overnight, on a geological time scale, in the blink of a fucking eye, this new paradigm has appeared. If you like, not even disagree with it, if you just are like, man, I got some questions about that, can we like talk about this? Maybe we could weigh our options out. Now all of a sudden you are branded a Karen. You are branded like some kind of subversive. You're branded as like some kind of hokey retard, and you're not. You're completely within your rights to have questions about, hey, is this really the best thing for us to be doing? Is this really doing anything? Is this really going to help us? Maybe we should make sure they're not inflating the numbers or something. Maybe there's a reason they would like us to be all wearing masks. I don't know. Just asking questions here. You see the other people around you posting these things, and you think, oh shit, I better not like make a big stink about this because I'm going to get socially ostracized. And where are those people getting their, like, if you ask one of the people posting like, oh, if you don't wear your mask, you're a fucking retard. If you're posting that on Facebook, if you ask that person why they think that, you know what their answer is going to be? Oh, because I'm not a fucking piece of shit. Because I'm not a piece of shit. That's their answer. Whether there's going to be some variation on the voice they use when they say that, but that's, if you ask like a person under the age of 30, usually if you ask a white person under the age of 30 why they think that everybody should be wearing masks, because I'm not a piece of shit, that's going to be their answer. And I'm not saying that you're wrong to think that everybody should wear masks, but you probably haven't thought about it or where that idea came from. And usually your idea came from, you saw something on TV and that has influenced your view of what we do is we build these images, these little like fishbone structures, these little like data, these like little mind maps in our head. Literally that's what a synapse is. That's what synapses in your brain are. They're these little networks of just little firing neurons, and they just kind of form these little patterns. We build these little structures in our head of something. Okay, I saw on TV. Let me think of an example. What's something? Okay, when I was a kid, I watched Hey Arnold, and I think I saw the episode with the Birdman, and I thought like, oh, homeless people are all just these really cool like very tortured loners, and they have these very deep thoughts like the Birdman. And well, no, homeless people are usually just addicted to drugs. That's usually what it is. They just can't. They live on the street because they're usually addicted to something. And that, I'm not saying that's good or bad, but like you build these little structures in your head, and you tend to just assume that that's the truth. And if they control what ideas are put on TV or on the internet or in media, what things you are exposed to, they can generally more accurately narrow down what those little structures in your head are going to be. They can, or at least they can kind of filter out for the greater bulk of humanity what those little structures are not going to be. They can decide what those structures are not going to be, because they're not going to start playing like Holocaust denial videos on History Channel. I'm not weighing in on the Holocaust. I'm not a historian. I don't fucking know. Okay, I think the Holocaust happened exactly as it was said. I have no stake in that game, man. I'm not touching that subject with a 10-foot pole anymore. It's not like they're going to be playing denialist videos, or like it's not like they're going to be playing videos about how the moon landing was fake on like the Science Channel. Okay, they're not going to be like talking about how the Lusitania sinking was a false flag. Okay, even though it was. 9/11 was a false flag? Fuck that, nigga. So the sinking of the Lusitania was a false flag. It's not like they're going to be showing that on TV. And if you aren't seeing that on TV, or if you're not seeing that on Facebook from an authoritative source, if you're not seeing that from an authoritative source, you're probably not going to really you're not going to intake those ideas and integrate them into your own little machines in your head that you build. You're not going to integrate them in that way. Unless you see it from an authoritative source. So all it really takes is like one authoritative source saying a few things, or multiple smaller authoritative sources saying a few things, which the government controls the media. Operation Mockingbird, it's a real thing. They have operatives in the media. Maybe they aren't like controlling everybody. It's not like they have a remote for Anderson Cooper. Actually, they probably do have a remote for Anderson Cooper, but maybe not everybody. Not the weather lady. That not all the news anchors are like controlled with like kitty diddling sex videos, but all it takes is really, you need just like a couple people, you get them to say something that you want them to say. All of a sudden, boom, because people are hearing it from an authoritative source, and those people will go on to reinforce it through social pressure. They'll go on to reinforce it through ostracization, sometimes even threats of violence, threats of damage to your income and livelihood. If you were to not even just outright rebel against that idea, but even just question it. If you question, hey, is a mask law really necessary? Can we maybe take a look at those numbers? Can we maybe just check their methodology on how they're coming to those numbers? And all of a sudden, you are a pariah. You are ostracized. You are in the out group. That's all it takes. That's all it takes to manipulate a person. And all of a sudden, they will click that little part of their brain that tells them, I need to fit in. I don't want to stand out. I am not trying to get myself beaten up by fucking crazy people. And that's a totally natural, healthy desire to not get beat up by crazy people. That turns on, and you fall in lockstep, and you start to just kind of integrate the things that are being told to you as truth in your brain, because it's a hell of a lot easier. And that's not a good or bad thing. That's just what it is. That's just how things are. That's what people do. It sucks. I hate it, but I do it too. Everybody does it. You do it if you're watching this video. And I'm not trying to come from this from a perspective of I'm so enlightened, I'm a guru, I'm above this system of cattle slavery, these fucking sheeple. No, not what I'm saying here. I am just as much a livestock animal as you watching this video. You and your parents and your family and friends. I am just as much a livestock as anybody. Trump voters are livestock. Antifa members are livestock. Bernie voters are livestock. Libertarians are livestock. Everybody's a livestock. And the sooner we just realize that we're livestock, the sooner we stop being livestock and we start being slaves, which is probably the more... a livestock animal can never be free. A livestock animal... When you see a domesticated animal, a domesticated mammal like a chicken or a dog or a cat that is out on its own, it's out of domestication, it is just forced to be feral, there's something that cuts you in the heart, just at a very subtle biological level that's kind of sad. It's it's very sad when a dog, maybe it's like, oh, I'm finally free, but then it realizes, fuck, I gotta get my own food now. Nobody's here to give me hugs and cuddles. Where am I gonna get belly rubs? Like that there's something just in your gut that you feel when a domesticated animal has left domestication. A domesticated animal that is unaware of its own domestication can never be free. When a domesticated animal becomes aware that it has been domesticated, it ceases to be a domesticated animal and it becomes a slave. because it is aware that it is domesticated. It has the ability to resist domestication, and only slaves can ever be freed. Domesticated animals can never truly be freed because they will still yearn for that domestication. I think that's as much as I can really say without taking up another 20 minutes. I wanted to make this a 5-minute addendum, but I think that this was important to get out a little, a little more elaborate. I kind of skipped over some things. I don't write notes. This is all just kind of coming out of my head. Word vomit. I try not to use cuts unless I have like something like happens or I fart or something like that. But yeah, otherwise, God bless. Have a wonderful rest of your night. Bye.